The massive crystal dome of Kepler Station stretched above the Peace Summit like a frozen ocean wave. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked through the corridors, her black diplomatic uniform crisp against the alien architecture that surrounded her. The station belonged to no single species, built from materials that shifted color depending on who looked at them. Today they seemed to glow with an angry red light. Chen had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Ever since humanity made contact with the Galactic Confederation, tensions had been building. Human colonies were spreading faster than anyone expected. Human technology was advancing in ways that made older species uncomfortable. Human ships were appearing in systems that had been claimed by other powers for centuries. The main conference hall could hold 1,000 beings. Today it felt cramped with just 50 representatives. The Vorthak Empire delegates sat in their floating chairs, their pale blue skin gleaming under the artificial lights. They wore robes that cost more than most human ships. Their leader, high-nobled Zerath, had not even looked at Chen when she entered. The Zephyrian collective representatives moved as one unit. Their insect-like bodies clicked and hummed as they shared thoughts through their hive mind. Chen found them easier to deal with than the Vorthak. At least the Zephyrians were honest about seeing humans as a threat. The Cronan Republic sent their usual military officers. General Thok stood nearly 3 meters tall, his scaled hide marked with battle scars that he wore like medals. His small eyes tracked Chen's every movement. The Cronans respected strength above all else. They had been the first to suggest that humanity needed to be controlled. Chen took her seat at the circular table. The chair was designed for human comfort, one of the few concessions the aliens had made. Around her, translators hummed softly, converting dozens of alien languages into words she could understand. "The Confederation calls this session to order," announced Speaker Veltar, a member of the neutral Ashanti species. His voice echoed strangely in the vast chamber. "We gather to discuss the rapid expansion of the human colonies and the concerns this has raised among member species." Chen had hoped for a fair hearing. 3 months of preparation had gone into her presentation. Charts showing human population growth, resource needs, and peaceful intentions filled her datapad. She believed that reasonable beings could find a reasonable solution. High Noble Zerath spoke first. His voice carried the kind of authority that came from 1,000 generations of ruling lesser beings. "The humans have claimed 17 systems in the past year alone. Systems that border our territory. Systems that we have monitored for centuries." "Monitored but not settled," Chen replied calmly. "The Galactic Accords clearly state that uninhabited systems are open to colonization by any member species. The Accords were written before your species achieved faster-than-light travel," General Thok growled. "Before you began breeding like rodents and spreading across the galaxy without regard for established territories." Chen felt her jaw tighten, but kept her voice level. "Humanity has followed every Confederation law and treaty. Our expansion has been completely legal." The Zephyrian speaker, a drone designated as Harmony of Purpose, buzzed its response. "Legal, yes, but not wise. Your species grows too quickly, consumes resources too rapidly, changes too much too fast. Change is not a crime," Chen said. "Every species in this room once expanded beyond their home world. Every species here once developed new technologies that others found threatening." "Not like this," Zerath said, his pale eyes fixing on Chen. "Other species expanded over millennia, developed slowly, learned their place in the galactic order. Humans have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries, yet you act as though you belong among the elder races." Chen had heard this argument before. The older species believed in a natural hierarchy. They had divided the galaxy among themselves over millions of years. Humanity was supposed to accept whatever small corner they were given and be grateful for it. "Perhaps," she said carefully, "the problem is not that humanity expands too quickly, but that other species have expanded too slowly." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Zerath's floating chair drifted closer to the table. "Explain yourself, human." Chen activated her holographic display. Star charts filled the air above the table, showing the territories claimed by each major power. Vast regions of space marked in different colors, with tiny dots representing actual colonies. "The Vorthak Empire claims territory containing 12,000 star systems," she said. "You have colonies in fewer than 800 of them. The Cronan Republic has claimed 6,000 systems and settled less than 300. The Zephyrian Collective claims 4,000 systems but only uses 1,000 for their hives. She gestured to a small cluster of stars near the edge of the display. Humanity claims 73 systems and has active colonies in all of them. We don't claim territory we can't use. We don't hoard empty space just to keep others from having it. General Thok slammed his massive fist on the table. You dare suggest that we should give up territory that is rightfully ours? I suggest that claiming empty space for millions of years while other species need room to grow is not the action of wise or just leaders, Chen replied. The room erupted. Alien voices rose in anger, translators struggling to keep up with the flood of outraged words. Chen sat calmly in the center of the storm, waiting for order to return. Speaker Veltar finally restored quiet. The human position is noted. Now the Confederation wishes to present its solution to the current crisis. Chen's heart sank. She had hoped for negotiation, for compromise. The formal language told her that decisions had already been made. Zerath stood, his robes billowing around him. The Confederation has determined that human expansion poses a threat to galactic stability. Therefore, humanity will accept the following terms. A new holographic display appeared, showing human space carved up like a feast ready for serving. First, humanity will surrender all colonies established in the past 5 years. These systems will be redistributed among the elder races. Second, all future human expansion must be approved by the Confederation Council. Third, human technology development will be monitored and controlled by Confederation observers. Chen felt her blood turn cold, but Zerath was not finished. Fourth, human military forces will be reduced to system defense only. No human warship may leave human-controlled space without Confederation approval. Fifth, humanity will pay reparations for the resources consumed during unauthorized expansion. The terms would destroy humanity's future. They would trap the human race in a tiny corner of the galaxy, dependent on alien permission for everything. Chen looked around the table, searching for any sign of support. She found none. These terms are unacceptable, she said quietly. They are not terms for negotiation, General Thok rumbled. They are orders. You have 30 standard days to comply. And if we refuse? Chen asked. Zerath smiled, showing teeth like polished ivory. Then the combined fleets of the Confederation will enforce compliance. Your species will learn its proper place in the galactic order, willingly or otherwise. Chen stood slowly, gathering her data pads. The presentation she had prepared would never be given. The charts showing human achievements would never be seen. The hope for peaceful coexistence was dying in this crystal dome. You mistake our desire for peace as weakness, she said, her words carrying clearly through the silent chamber. That will be your first and last error. She walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind her, Zerath's voice followed like a knife. 30 days, human. Choose wisely. Chen paused at the doorway and looked back one final time. We will choose, she said, but not the choice you expect. The door sealed behind her with a sound like breaking glass. The peace talks were over. Something else was about to begin. The message from Kepler Station reached Earth in 12 hours. Within minutes of its arrival, every human colony, research station, and military base received the same simple code. Protocol 7. Admiral Marcus Rivera stood in the command center deep beneath Luna City, watching as the galaxy transformed on his screens. Red dots appeared across human space like drops of blood spreading through water. Each dot represented a world preparing for war. Status report, Rivera said to his aide. Commander Sarah Park. All colonies have confirmed receipt of Protocol 7, Park replied, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. Military production is increasing by 400%. Civilian factories are converting to wartime manufacturing. Colonial militias are mobilizing. Rivera nodded. Protocol 7 had been humanity's secret for 20 years. While the aliens thought humans were simple traders and farmers, every human world had been preparing for this day. The factories that built farming equipment could produce weapons just as easily. The mining ships that moved asteroids could become kinetic bombardment platforms. The research stations studying alien biology could develop biological weapons. What about the special projects? Rivera asked. Park's expression grew serious. Dr. Vasquez reports that Prometheus is ready for final testing. The new ship designs are entering production. The AI cores are being installed in the fleet. Rivera had seen the early test results of Project Prometheus. Even he wasn't sure he understood how it worked. Something about adaptive technology that could change itself during battle, something that would give human ships abilities that no alien could predict or counter. On the other side of Luna City, Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in a laboratory that officially didn't exist. The Prometheus drive sat in the center of the room like a metal flower, its crystalline core pulsing with soft blue light. Around it, her team of scientists and engineers made final adjustments. "The quantum resonance is stable," reported Dr. Kim, her chief assistant. "The adaptive algorithms are responding normally. The neural interface is calibrated." Vasquez ran her hand along the drive's smooth surface. 20 years of research had gone into this moment. 20 years of studying alien technology, of finding the gaps in their knowledge, of discovering what they had missed. "The aliens think they know everything," she murmured. "They think the galaxy stopped changing when they reached the stars. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The Prometheus drive didn't just power ships, it powered evolution. Any ship equipped with it could adapt to new threats in real time. Its weapons could change their nature mid-battle. Its shields could learn from incoming attacks. Its hull could reshape itself for optimal performance. The aliens had superior numbers and older technology, but they had never faced an enemy that could evolve during combat. Across human space, the transformation continued. On New Tokyo, the orbital shipyards revealed their true purpose. What looked like civilian construction platforms unfolded into military production lines. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers shed their false hulls to reveal weapon ports and armor plating. Captain Lisa Wong commanded the defense station at New Tokyo. For 5 years, her research facility had been cataloging alien weaknesses. Now those files were being distributed to every human commander. "The Vorthak rely too heavily on energy shields," she told her staff. "Kinetic weapons punch right through them. The Zephyrians use hive mind coordination, but if you jam their communication frequencies, they become confused and disorganized. The Cronins are tough but predictable. They always attack head-on." Similar briefings were happening on dozens of worlds. Humanity had been studying their potential enemies for decades. They knew alien ship designs, weapon capabilities, and tactical doctrines better than the aliens knew themselves. On Mars, General Patricia Hayes oversaw the activation of the Red Planet's true purpose. The terraforming equipment that had shaped Mars into a garden world could also turn it into a fortress. Atmospheric processors became chemical weapon factories. Weather control systems became planetary defense networks. The peaceful farmers and scientists revealed themselves as trained soldiers. "How long until the alien fleets reach our borders?" Hayes asked her intelligence officer. 3 weeks, came the reply. "They're not hurrying. They think we'll surrender once we see their numbers." Hayes smiled grimly. "Let them come slowly. Every day gives us more time to prepare." In the outer colonies where the first battles would be fought, civilians worked alongside soldiers. On New Gettysburg, Captain Jake Morrison watched as his small patrol fleet received reinforcements that existed only on paper. Mining ships, survey vessels, and transport craft were being fitted with whatever weapons could be found. "Sir, we're outnumbered 50 to 1, his tactical officer reported. "Good," Morrison replied. "That means they won't expect much resistance." The human colonies had learned from Earth's history. They knew that superior numbers didn't guarantee victory. The right tactics, the right terrain, and the right motivation could overcome any advantage. Back on Luna, Rivera received reports from across human space. Every world was ready. Every ship was armed. Every citizen was prepared to fight. "What about the alien agents?" he asked Park. "The ones monitoring our activities?" Park's smile was sharp. "They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Panic in the streets, ships fleeing toward the core worlds, military forces in disarray. The deception was perfect. Human colonies appeared to be collapsing into chaos. Refugees streamed away from the borders. Military units seemed to be falling back in confusion. To alien observers, humanity looked like it was already defeated. But the refugees were actually reinforcements moving to defensive positions. The retreating military units were taking up ambush positions. The chaos was carefully orchestrated preparation for war. Dr. Vasquez made final adjustments to the Prometheus drive. Around her, technicians loaded similar drives onto the fastest ships in the human fleet. The technology was too new to mass produce, but even a few ships equipped with it could change the balance of power. "How many can we complete?" she asked Dr. Kim. 12 drives are ready now. We can have 50 more in 2 weeks. Vasquez nodded. 50 ships with Prometheus drives. Against thousands of alien vessels, it didn't sound like much. But these wouldn't be ordinary ships. They would be something the galaxy had never seen before. Rivera studied the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements. The Confederation forces were vast, but they were also predictable. They moved in standard formations, followed established doctrines, used time-tested strategies. Humanity would show them something new. Send a message to all commands. Rivera ordered. Operation Phoenix is authorized. When the aliens arrive, they'll find us ready. Throughout human space, the final preparations began. Weapon platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites came online. Defense networks that had been hidden in asteroids revealed themselves. Ships that had looked harmless shed their disguises. The aliens had expected to find scattered human colonies defending themselves individually. Instead, they would face a coordinated defense grid that had been decades in the making. On Earth itself, President Jackson addressed the planet from his office in Geneva. His words were broadcast to every human world, every human ship, every human heart. We did not choose this war, he said. We sought peace, but were offered only subjugation. We tried diplomacy, but were met with arrogance. Now we will show the galaxy what happens when you mistake human kindness for human weakness. The countdown had begun. In 18 days, the alien fleets would reach the first human colonies. They expected to find frightened farmers and desperate defenders. They would find something else entirely. The calm before the storm was ending. Humanity was ready to remind the galaxy why they had spread so far, so fast. Not because they were lucky, but because they were dangerous. The universe was about to remember why humanity had earned its place among the stars. The first alien ships dropped out of hyperspace at New Gettysburg, exactly when intelligence predicted they would. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of his patrol ship Defiant, as sensors tracked the incoming fleet. 57 heavy cruisers, 23 battleships, and one massive dreadnought that dwarfed anything in human space. "My God," whispered his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Chen, how are we supposed to fight that?" Morrison studied the enemy formation. The Cronin ships moved in perfect order, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. General Thok commanded from the dreadnought Iron Fist, probably expecting this to be a quick victory. "We're not going to fight them," Morrison said calmly. "We're going to teach them." New Gettysburg sat at the edge of human space, surrounded by an asteroid field that made navigation tricky. Most species avoided building colonies in such dangerous areas. Humans had learned to see opportunity where others saw obstacles. Morrison's patrol fleet consisted of 12 ships. What the Cronins couldn't see were the mining vessels hidden throughout the asteroid field, their engines cold and their hulls camouflaged to look like space rock. What they also couldn't see were the weapon platforms built inside the largest asteroids, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. "Signal from General Thok," reported the communications officer. "He's demanding our immediate surrender." "Tell him he can have our surrender," Morrison replied. "He just has to come and take it." The Cronin fleet advanced into the asteroid field in standard formation. Their heavy ships pushed forward while smaller vessels protected their flanks. It was textbook military strategy, the kind taught in every war college in the galaxy. It was also exactly what Morrison had hoped for. "All units, begin Operation Slingshot," he ordered. Throughout the asteroid field, mining ships came to life. But instead of moving to attack positions, they began pushing asteroids. Giant space rocks started drifting toward the Cronin fleet, looking like natural gravitational drift. General Thok noticed the movement. "Navigation hazard detected," his sensor officer reported. "Multiple asteroids on collision course. Destroy them," Thok ordered. "These humans think flying rocks will stop us." The Cronin ships opened fire, turning asteroids into clouds of debris. But for every rock they destroyed, 3 more appeared on different vectors. The mining ships were using gravitational slingshots to hurl asteroids from all directions. "Sir," the Cronin tactical officer said nervously, "some of these asteroids are moving too fast. Their trajectories don't match natural physics." Thok studied the display more carefully. The asteroids weren't just falling toward his fleet. They were being aimed. The humans had turned the entire asteroid field into a massive kinetic weapon. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "Full defensive spread." But the Cronin formation was designed for open space combat, not navigating through a storm of guided projectiles. Ships collided as they tried to avoid asteroids. Others were struck by rocks moving at tremendous velocity, their shields failing under the kinetic impact. Morrison watched from his hiding place inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Phase 2, he ordered. The weapon platforms hidden throughout the field opened fire. What the Cronins thought were destroyed asteroids revealed themselves as camouflaged missile launchers. Nuclear warheads detonated among the enemy ships, adding chaos to confusion. "Where are the human ships?" Thok demanded. "Find them!" Morrison's fleet was already moving, using the asteroids as cover and striking from unexpected angles. The Defiant emerged from behind a spinning rock, fired a spread of torpedoes into a Cronin cruiser's engine section, then vanished back into the field before return fire could find it. Other human ships followed the same pattern. Hit and run, strike and disappear, never stay in one place long enough for the enemy to target effectively. It was ancient human strategy updated for space combat. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Cronin fleet had lost half its ships and the rest were badly damaged. Morrison's patrol fleet had lost 2 vessels and suffered minor damage to 3 others. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Morrison ordered. "Full spectrum, maximum power." His message went out across the galaxy, carried by subspace relays to every inhabited system. The words were simple, but their meaning was clear. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Colonial Defense Force. To any alien commander preparing to attack human colonies. You wanted to see what humans do when cornered. You just saw a demonstration. We don't fight fair. We don't follow your rules. We adapt, we improvise, and we win." The message paused, then continued. "General Thok, you're welcome to collect your surviving ships and retreat. Or you can stay and learn what happens when humans stop being polite." Similar battles erupted across the border regions. At New Shanghai, human defenders used gravity mines to trap an entire Zephyrian hive fleet in a planetary gravity well. At Port Royal, human privateers turned cargo containers into massive bombs, ramming them into Vorthak battleships. Every human colony fought differently. Every battle taught the aliens something new about human warfare. And every victory, no matter how small, carried the same message: humanity would not surrender. Admiral Rivera watched the battle reports from Luna Command. The aliens were winning through sheer numbers, but the cost was enormous. More important, their confidence was shaking. "The psychological impact is working," reported Commander Park. "Intercepted alien communications show confusion and growing fear. They expected easy victories." Rivera nodded. The border battles were never meant to stop the alien advance. They were meant to teach the galaxy that humans were dangerous prey. Every alien commander now knew that attacking human colonies meant accepting heavy losses. But the real message wasn't for the aliens. It was for humanity itself. On colony after colony, humans watched the battle reports and felt something awakening. For generations, they had been peaceful farmers, traders, and explorers. Now they remembered that their ancestors had conquered Earth through cunning and determination. Dr. Vasquez monitored the battles from her laboratory. The Prometheus-equipped ships hadn't been used yet. The border engagements were being fought with conventional technology and human cleverness. That was intentional. "Let them think they understand us," she told her team. "Let them believe they've seen our best weapons. When they realize what we're really capable of, it will be too late." The alien fleets continued their advance, but more carefully now. They had learned to scan asteroid fields thoroughly. They had learned to watch for camouflaged weapons. They had learned that humans didn't fight the way civilized species were supposed to fight. What they hadn't learned was that every battle, every skirmish, every small defeat was being recorded and analyzed. Human intelligence officers were studying alien tactics, alien weaknesses, and alien psychology. The border battles were the galaxy's largest military exercise, and humanity was taking notes. Captain Morrison's Defiant limped back to New Gettysburg's orbital station for repairs. His crew was exhausted but victorious. More importantly, they had proven something to themselves and to the galaxy. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen asked, "do you think they'll be back?" Morrison looked at the tactical display showing enemy fleet movements. The aliens were regrouping, calling for reinforcements, preparing for a massive assault on the inner colonies. "Oh, they'll be back," he said. "But next time we'll be ready for them." Throughout human space, the same preparations were underway. The border battles had been the opening moves. The real war was about to begin. The aliens had superior numbers and older technology. But humanity had something more valuable: the knowledge that they could win. Every successful defense, every clever ambush, every small victory had built confidence. The galaxy had seen humans fight as desperate defenders. Soon they would see humans fight as conquerors. Admiral Rivera stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as the largest human fleet in history prepared to jump to hyperspace. 57 ships equipped with Prometheus drives formed the core of the battle group, surrounded by 300 conventional vessels carrying humanity's best crews. The Nexus system lay ahead, where the combined alien armada waited. Intelligence reported over 2,000 enemy ships from dozens of species, all united in their desire to crush humanity once and for all. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. "Final systems check," Rivera ordered. Around him, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were veteran officers who had survived the border battles, learned from every encounter, and helped design the new human war machine. Dr. Vasquez monitored the Prometheus systems from the science station. The drive cores were running perfectly, their quantum matrices stable and ready to adapt. "All Prometheus ships report green status," she announced. "The neural links are active. The ships are ready to evolve," Rivera nodded. What the aliens didn't understand was that human ships equipped with Prometheus drives weren't just weapons. They were learning organisms that could change their nature during combat. Every attack would make them stronger. Every defense would make them smarter. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, and the galaxy held its breath. In the Nexus system, High Noble Zerath commanded the alien alliance from his massive command ship Eternal Glory. Around him, the greatest fleet ever assembled waited in perfect formation. Vorthak energy cruisers glowed with deadly power. Zephyrian hive ships pulsed with alien intelligence. Cronin battleships bristled with weapons. "The humans are coming," reported his sensor officer. 57 primary contacts, 300 support vessels. Zerath smiled. "Less than 400 ships against our 2,000. These primitives have chosen death over wisdom." What he couldn't see were the modifications hidden within each human vessel. The Prometheus cores weren't just engines. They were connected to every system on the ship through quantum neural networks. Weapons, shields, engines, and hull plating could all be reconfigured in seconds based on tactical requirements. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the system's edge. Rivera studied the enemy formation on his tactical display. The aliens had arranged themselves in a classic battle sphere, layers of ships protecting the command vessels at the center. "Dr. Vasquez, activate the neural interface," Rivera ordered. "Link me to the fleet network." The Prometheus technology allowed human commanders to share tactical awareness across entire fleets. Rivera felt his consciousness expand as 57 ship captains shared their perceptions with him. He could see through hundreds of sensors, think with dozens of tactical computers, and command the fleet as if it were a single organism. "Begin the demonstration," he ordered. The human ships moved forward in formations that made no sense to alien observers. They seemed to flow like liquid mercury, constantly shifting positions and changing configurations. The Prometheus-equipped vessels began to physically transform, their hulls reshaping for optimal performance. "What are they doing?" General Thok demanded from his position in the alien fleet. "Their ships are changing." The first exchange of fire taught the aliens that everything they thought they knew about human technology was wrong. Human energy weapons adapted their frequency mid-beam to penetrate alien shields. Human missiles changed their targeting systems in flight to exploit weaknesses in enemy defenses. Human ships absorbed incoming fire and used it to strengthen their own weapons. The Defiance engaged a Vorthak heavy cruiser, and Rivera watched in amazement as his ship learned from the encounter. The enemy's energy beam struck his shields, but instead of weakening them, the Prometheus system analyzed the attack and reconfigured the shield harmonics to turn the enemy's own weapons into a power source. "Impossible," whispered the Vorthak captain as his weapons began feeding energy directly to his target. "No species has mastered adaptive technology." "No alien species," Rivera corrected over the communication channel. "Humans learn from everything." Throughout the battle, the same pattern repeated. Human ships that took damage didn't just repair themselves. They improved themselves, becoming stronger and more efficient with every attack they survived. Human weapons that missed their targets adjusted their programming to ensure the next shot would be perfect. The Zephyrian hive ships tried to coordinate their attack through their shared consciousness, but human hackers had been studying their communication protocols for years. Captain Sandra Kim led a squadron of electronic warfare ships that jammed the hive frequencies and fed false information into the Zephyrian network. "Their coordination is breaking down," reported her communications officer. "The hive mind is receiving contradictory data from multiple sources." "Good," Kim replied.
"Now show them what happens when humans think faster than machines." The Zephyrian ships began attacking each other, their hive mind convinced that their own vessels were human infiltrators.
The perfect coordination that had been their greatest strength became their greatest weakness when corrupted by human ingenuity. The Cronin forces tried to break through human lines with brute force, but found themselves facing ships that literally became tougher under fire. Human hulls absorbed kinetic impacts and redistributed the energy to strengthen their armor. Human shields learned from each attack pattern and adapted to counter-specific threats. General Thok's flagship Iron Fist targeted the human destroyer Persistence, expecting to crush the smaller vessel with overwhelming firepower. Instead, he watched in horror as the human ship grew larger and more heavily armored with each hit it took. "Sir, their ship is feeding off our weapons fire," his tactical officer reported. "Each attack makes it stronger. Then stop shooting at it," Thok roared. "We can't, sir. Our targeting systems have been compromised. They're forcing us to continue attacking." The Persistence had hacked into the Cronin fire control systems and was literally making the enemy ships strengthen it with their own weapons. Captain Torres smiled from his command chair as his small destroyer transformed into a battleship, powered by enemy fire. At the center of the alien formation, Zerath watched his perfect fleet fall apart. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating abilities that shouldn't exist, ships that evolved during combat, weapons that improved with each shot, defenses that learned from every attack. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science officers. "Unknown, my lord. Their technology appears to violate several fundamental laws of physics." Rivera listened to the intercepted alien communications and smiled. The laws of physics hadn't changed. Humanity had simply found ways to use them that older species had never imagined. "All ships execute Operation Phoenix," Rivera ordered. The human fleet suddenly changed tactics. Instead of fighting defensively, they went on the attack. But this wasn't the crude aggression the aliens expected. Human ships flowed through enemy formations like schools of fish, each vessel protecting and supporting the others while striking at carefully chosen targets. The Prometheus technology allowed unprecedented coordination. Human captains could share tactical awareness in real time, creating a group intelligence that surpassed anything the Zephyrians had achieved. 57 ships began fighting as a single organism, anticipating each other's moves and covering each other's weaknesses. The alien fleet, built around rigid hierarchies and established doctrines, couldn't adapt fast enough. Their commanders were used to fighting predictable enemies with known capabilities. The humans showed them something new with every passing minute. Captain Morrison, commanding the upgraded Defiant II, found himself facing 3 Vorthak cruisers simultaneously. His ship's Prometheus system analyzed their attack patterns, identified their weaknesses, and began transforming his vessel into the perfect counter to their specific tactics. "Their ships are becoming whatever they need to be," Morrison reported to Rivera. "It's like fighting an enemy that can see the future." "Not the future," Rivera replied. "Just the present, analyzed faster than any alien can think." The battle raged for 8 hours. When it ended, the combined alien armada was destroyed or scattered. Less than 200 enemy ships escaped, carrying news of humanity's true capabilities to the rest of the galaxy. The human fleet suffered losses, but every surviving ship was stronger than when the battle began. The Prometheus technology had recorded every encounter, analyzed every tactic, and prepared humanity for whatever came next. "Send a message to the Galactic Confederation," Rivera ordered. "Full spectrum broadcast, maximum power." His words carried across the galaxy, reaching every inhabited world and every spacefaring species. "This is Admiral Marcus Rivera of the Human Colonial Defense Force. The alien alliance has been defeated. Their fleets are destroyed. Their threat to human colonies has ended." He paused, letting the words sink in across the galaxy. "Humanity did not choose this war, but we have finished it. To any species that wishes peace, we offer friendship. To any species that threatens human worlds, We offer this demonstration of what happens when you mistake our mercy for weakness. The message ended, but its impact was just beginning. Across the galaxy, alien governments realized that the balance of power had shifted forever. Humanity wasn't just another species to be controlled and contained. They were the new dominant force in galactic civilization. The war was over. Humanity had won, but the real challenge was just beginning. 6 months after the Battle of the Nexus, Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the same crystal dome where the peace talks had collapsed. But this time the roles were reversed. The survivors of the alien alliance sat in chairs designed for human comfort, while Chen presided over the new Galactic Council. The dome's crystalline walls had changed color again. Where once they had glowed with angry red light, now they shimmered with cool blue that seemed to pulse with hope. The technology responded to the emotions of those within, and today there was more hope than anger in the great chamber. High Noble Zerath was gone, killed when his flagship was destroyed at the Nexus. In his place sat Noble Yin, a younger Vorthak who had opposed the war from the beginning. His pale blue skin looked tired. His ornate robes were simpler than those of his predecessor. General Thok had also perished in the battle. The new Cronin representative was Colonel Harex, a female officer who wore her battle scars with pride, but had learned to respect human capabilities. She sat straight in her chair, acknowledging Chen with a warrior's nod. The Zephyrian collective had suffered the most. Their hive mind had been shattered when human hackers corrupted their communication networks. The surviving drones struggled to function independently, something their species had never had to learn. They were represented by a being called Individual 7, one of the few Zephyrians who had developed personal consciousness. The new Galactic Accords are ready for ratification, Chen announced. Her voice carried easily through the chamber. No longer the desperate plea of a species begging for survival, but the confident words of a leader who had earned her authority. The new accords were nothing like the surrender terms the aliens had tried to force on humanity. Instead of restrictions and limitations, they established principles of mutual respect and fair expansion. No species could claim territory they couldn't use. No species could prevent others from settling uninhabited worlds. No species could threaten others with military force to resolve disputes. Article 1, Chen read aloud, establishes the principle of earned authority. Leadership in galactic affairs shall be based on merit, capability, and contribution to galactic civilization, not on age of species or size of territory. It was a direct rejection of the old system where ancient species ruled simply because they had reached space first. Under the new accords, influence would come from achievement, not inheritance. Noble Yan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The Vorthak had ruled through aristocratic privilege for millions of years. The idea of earning their position was foreign to them. Article 2, Chen continued, guarantees the right of all species to expand and develop according to their capabilities. No artificial limits shall be placed on population growth, territorial expansion, or technological development. This was the principle humanity had fought for, the right to grow, to explore, to become whatever they were capable of becoming. It was a right they were now extending to all species, even former enemies. Individual 7 buzzed nervously. What of species that cannot adapt to these new principles? He asked. What of those who have followed the old ways for so long that change is difficult? Chen's expression softened. Article 3 addresses that concern. The Galactic Council will provide assistance to species struggling with the transition to the new order. Humanity is prepared to share its technology and knowledge to help others adapt. It was an offer of friendship to former enemies. Humanity could have demanded tribute or reparations. Instead, they offered help. The gesture was not lost on the alien representatives. Colonel Hrex leaned forward. The Cronin Republic accepts these accords, she said formally. We fought against humanity and lost, but we fought with honor, and humanity has shown us honor in return. The Cronins choose friendship over continued conflict. Noble Yan took longer to consider. The Vorthak pride had been shattered along with their fleet, but eventually he nodded. The Vorthak Empire. Except, he said quietly, perhaps it is time for new ways. Individual 7's response came after consultation with the few surviving hive nodes. The Zephyrian collective, what remains of it, agrees to try these new principles. We have learned that our old certainties were illusions. Chen felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The formal end of the war was important, but the beginning of peace was more valuable. Then let the records show that the Galactic Accords of 2387 are ratified by all present species. Let this be the foundation of a new era of cooperation and growth. But the ceremony was only the beginning. The real work of building a new galactic order was happening across human space and beyond. On Earth, President Jackson met with alien ambassadors who had come to study human governmental systems. Species that had never known democracy were learning about representation and individual rights. The idea that leaders could be chosen and replaced was revolutionary to civilizations built on inherited authority. Dr. Vasquez had established research centers on a dozen worlds, sharing Prometheus technology with anyone willing to learn, but she was careful to share knowledge gradually, ensuring that each species could understand and safely use what they learned. The technology is powerful, she explained to a group of Vorthak scientists, but it requires a certain way of thinking. You must be willing to change, to adapt, to let go of old assumptions. Not all species are ready for that kind of flexibility. The Cronins proved most eager to learn. Their warrior culture adapted quickly to the idea that strength came from improvement rather than tradition. Cronin engineers worked alongside human technicians, designing ships that could evolve during combat. The Zephyrians faced the greatest challenge. Their entire civilization had been built around collective consciousness. Learning to think as individuals was like learning to breathe in a different atmosphere, but some were making progress, discovering capabilities they never knew they possessed. Individual 7 had become something unprecedented in Zephyrian history, an ambassador who could speak for his species without consulting the hive mind. His personal growth symbolized the broader changes happening across the galaxy. Admiral Rivera, now commanding the new Galactic Defense Force, established training academies where officers from all species could learn modern military doctrine. The old system of rigid formations and predictable tactics was being replaced by adaptive strategies based on human innovations. War is not about having the biggest ships or the most weapons. He taught mixed classes of human and alien cadets. War is about adapting faster than your enemy, learning from every encounter and never fighting the same battle twice. The lessons went beyond military strategy. They were about embracing change, accepting uncertainty, and finding strength and flexibility rather than rigidity. Captain Morrison, now commanding a mixed-species exploration fleet, led expeditions to previously unexplored regions of the galaxy. His crews included humans, reformed Cronins, independent Zephyrians, and progressive Vorthak. They worked together to map new star systems and contact previously unknown civilizations. Each species brings different strengths, Morrison explained to his mixed crew. Humans adapt quickly. Cronins are brave in the face of danger. Zephyrians can process vast amounts of information. Vorthak have patience for long-term planning. Together, we're stronger than any of us alone. The exploration fleets carried a message to new species they encountered. The galaxy was changing, growing and welcoming all who were willing to contribute to its future. Back on Kepler Station, Chen often walked the same corridors where the peace talks had failed. The alien architecture no longer seemed strange or threatening. The walls that shifted color now seemed to reflect the diversity of the galaxy itself, constantly changing and adapting. She paused at the spot where she had delivered her final warning to the alien alliance. The words seemed like they belonged to a different person, someone harder and more desperate than she felt now. "Regrets?" asked a familiar voice behind her. Chen turned to see Dr. Vasquez approaching. The scientist looked tired but satisfied, like someone who had completed a lifelong project. "No regrets," Chen replied, "but I do wonder sometimes what would have happened if they had accepted our original proposals. If they had been willing to share the galaxy instead of trying to control it." Vasquez considered the question. Then humanity would have remained a minor species, grateful for whatever scraps the older civilizations chose to share. We would never have developed our full potential, and they would still be the same stagnant powers they were before, Chen added. Never learning, never growing, never becoming anything more than what they already were. The war had been terrible, but it had also been necessary, not just for humanity's survival but for the galaxy's growth. The old order had been holding everyone back, keeping species trapped in roles assigned millions of years ago. Chen looked out through the crystal dome at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, human ships were exploring new worlds. Former enemies were learning to cooperate. Young species were being welcomed into the galactic community as equals rather than subjects. We didn't just win a war, she realized. We changed the galaxy's entire future. Vasquez smiled. That's what humans do. We see potential where others see only problems. We find ways to grow where others accept limitations. We turn challenges into opportunities. The peace talks had collapsed, but from that collapse had come something better than peace. It had brought progress, growth, and the promise that the galaxy's best days lay ahead rather than behind. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as conquerors but as teachers. They had shown the galaxy that change was possible, that growth never had to stop, and that the future was always better than the past if you had the courage to reach for it. The echo of humanity's response would continue to spread across the galaxy for generations to come, carrying the message that no species ever had to accept limits on what they could become.